What is going on, everyone? Happy WrestleMania Sunday. Let me know in the comments down below, who do you expect winning tonight? Is it going to be the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes or the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? I am going for Cody Rhodes. The woe is going to be absolutely insane, and we are 25 days away from Roger Goodell walking across that podium and announcing who the next franchise quarterback will be for the Houston Texans. Today, we will be discussing the biggest draft needs for the team. Welcome, everyone, to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I drop daily Houston Texans content. Follow me on Twitter at 713HSP when you're talking about the number 2 pick. And yes, we will be focusing on the quarterback because I haven't really talked about how important this selection is for this franchise for the next decade and for the foretelling future. This is the second chance in 10 years the Houston Texans have had a crack at a franchise quarterback. The first one was Deshaun Watson, and that whole situation, I'm not going to get into it. It's already done. He's the Cleveland Brown. But this is your second shot at selecting a quarterback for the Houston Texans, one where you are going to throw out there and tell your fans that this is the guy that we expect to lead this franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. General Manager Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans, they cannot screw this up. Let's not forget what happened after we won that game against the Indianapolis Colts, losing the first overall pick and control of the draft. It felt like the Houston Texans were on a slippery slope and we were being on the verge of dysfunctional. We were being trashed throughout the media. Let's not forget that, guys. Then DeMeco Ryans happened. Then you saw the effect of everyone changing their view on the Houston Texans. You saw ownership do the same as well. The excitement for this team is at an all-time high. You cannot mess up the number 2 overall pick. To me, it is either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud right now cannot beat the Carolina Panthers organization. He is opening up as the number 1 quarterback to be taken off the board from Vegas. You got to follow the money there. All signs show to Bryce Young being a Houston Texan and being there with the 2nd overall pick. The only quarterback in Alabama history to go back-to-back 3,000-yard seasons, back-to-back 30-plus touchdown seasons. That's after losing Jameson Williams to the Lions and John Mechie to the Houston Texans. I haven't even talked about the potential Bryce Young to Mechie connection here, on Sundays in Houston. But going back to how serious this pick is for the Houston Texans, you cannot mess this up, Nick Caserio. I think that right now the franchise is taking all the right steps to say we are trying to rebuild this franchise. We are trying to win football games and get back to playoff games here in Houston. You got to get this right. Now, the quarterback position, like I said, is the obvious glaring need. The second, to me, we've already talked about center, but linebacker. The Houston Texans right now, outside of the newly additions of Denzel Perryman, who was a Pro Bowler last year, and Corey Littleton, who was an All-Pro, I think, in 2019, you don't expect those guys to play a full 17 games. You expect them to be a leader in that linebacker room for Christian Harris and Garrett Wallow. Outside of that, the Houston Texans need a prioritized linebacker. We talked about guys like Jack Campbell, the LB from Clemson. I think they named him Trenton Simpson. The Houston Texans have 5 picks in the top 100, and one of those will be a linebacker. If you go back to DeMeco Ryans' press conference, he talked about how Fred Warner himself was a 3rd-round pick, and now he is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. The Houston Texans need to prioritize linebacker, and also they have to prioritize center. That is the only issue or only glaring hole on the offensive line. You are satisfied with your 2 tackles of Tunsil and Titus Howard. Your 2 guards, you're very excited for Shaq Mason and excited to see a second year of Kenyon Green, who looks slimmer and and more, tone in some of the photos he's recently taken. Whether it's John Michael Schmitz, whether it's Luke Whippler or Joe Tittman, all 3 of those guys can start week 1 for this Houston Texans. And I think this offensive line with a very good center could flourish. It only excites me for this team as a whole. That's why this front office cannot mess this up. We are so close to, we all see the light at the end of the tunnel. We saw it with D'Amico Ryans. Now we see it with a potential new franchise quarterback coming. The Houston Texans are trying to win football, ladies and gentlemen. We are trying to get back to the days where it was just fun to be a Houston Texans fan. You guys let me know what are your biggest draft needs for the squad. As always, go Texans. You guys have a very blessed day.